So just start tapping and everyone tapping along, please. So we just described the silent movie technique and tell the story movie technique. Which one would you prefer for your movie?
I think I'll tell the story.
Tell the story. All right. And so you have something in mind.
Yeah.
And is it how long in duration would you say it is?
Oh, all up the event probably took less than a minute and a half.
Okay. All right. And what would you like to call this movie title of this event?
Sand driving.
Sorry?
Sand driving, like four
Sand.
wheel driving in the sand. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Sand driving. Got you. So it's about four-wheel driving in the sand. Yep. And so just thinking about that movie title, Sand Driving, what is it out of 10 and where is it landing in your body?
Uh, it's about an 8 and it's right in my chest, in the center of my chest.
Okay. Let's
Um,
start tapping on that. Even though I have this movie title,
Even though I have this movie title,
Sand Driving,
Sand driving,
and I feel it 8 out of 10 in my chest.
and I feel it 8 out of 10 in my chest.
I accept myself and how my body feels.
I accept myself and how my body feels.
Even though I have this movie title,
Even though I have this movie title,
Sand Driving,
Sand driving,
and I feel it 8 out of 10 in my chest.
and I feel it 8 out of 10 in my chest.
I accept myself and how my body feels this.
I accept myself and how my body feels this.
Right, open your eyes. Is that 3 times? I didn't count. Top of the head. This movie title.
This movie title.
I'm not going into the movie, just the title.
I'm not going into the movie, just the title.
But I feel this in my chest, 8 out of 10.
I feel this in my chest, 8 out of 10.
Movie title, Sand Driving,
Movie title, Sand driving,
8 out of 10 in my chest.
8 out of 10 in my chest.
Movie title, Sand Driving,
Movie title, Sand driving,
8 out of 10 in my chest.
8 out of 10 in my chest.
I'm not going to the whole movie yet.
I'm not going to the whole movie yet.
It's just the movie title, Sand Driving,
It's just the movie title, Sand driving,
8 out of 10 in my chest.
8 out of 10 in my chest.
Movie title, Sand Driving,
Movie title, Sand driving,
8 out of 10 in my chest.
8 out of 10 in my chest.
Movie title, Sand Driving.
Movie title, Sand driving.
Turn around to the gamut point, the gamut point. Right, so just thinking of the movie title, Sand Driving. Yeah. Close
Mm-hmm.
your eyes, open your eyes. Look hard down to the left. Look hard down to the right. Looking back at me, now look straight up and circle your eyes slowly in one direction, just thinking of the movie title, Sand Driving. Good, and back in the other direction. Good, looking back at me. Hum happy birthday. Count to five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hum happy birthday. This movie title,
This
Sand
movie,
Driving.
this movie title, Sand driving.
This movie title, Sand Driving.
This movie title, Sand driving.
8 out of 10 in my chest.
8 out of 10 in my chest.
This movie title, Sand Driving.
This movie title, Sand driving.
8 out of 10 in my chest.
8 out of 10 in my chest.
It might even be coming down in my chest.
It might even be coming down in my chest.
When I think of the movie title, Sand Driving,
When I think of the movie title, Sand driving,
it's even making me yawn now.
it's even making me yawn now.
This movie title, Sand Driving,
This movie title, Sand driving.
feeling it in my chest.
Feeling it in my chest.
It was 8 out of 10, but I think it's coming down.
was 8 out of 10 when I think it's coming down.
Definitely making me yawn.
Definitely making me yawn.
This movie title, Sand Driving.
This movie title, Sand Driving.
Okay, take a deep breath. If you've got water, have a sip of water. Okay, so when you think about the movie title now, Sand Driving, how's it landing in your body? Has it come down?
Yeah, it's about a 5.
Okay, and is it still in your chest, or where does that 5 land now?
It's sort of my whole torso. It just feels, and my arms just feels stuck energy sort of thing. It's
Mm-hmm.
constrictive sort of thing.
So stuck and constricted. Yeah.
Mm.
All right. Even though when I think of the movie title Sand Driving,
Even though when I think of the movie title Sand Driving,
it's come down to 5 out of 10.
it's come down to 5 out of 10.
And I feel constricted, tense energy in my whole torso and my arms.
And I feel constricted, tense energy in my whole torso and my arms.
It feels like it's stuck.
It feels like it's stuck.
I accept myself and how I feel.
I accept myself and how I feel.
Even though I have the movie title Sand Driving,
Even though I have the movie title Sand Driving,
and it's down to 5 out of 10,
and it's down to 5 out of 10.
and I feel this in my torso and my arms,
I feel this in my torso and my arms.
like stuck, constricted energy.
Like stuck, constricted energy.
I accept myself and how I feel.
I accept myself and how I feel.
Even though I have this movie title Sand Driving,
Even though I have this movie title Sand Driving,
and I feel it 5 out of 10 in my whole torso and my arms.
I feel it 5 out of 10 in my whole torso and my arms.
It's constricted, like it's stuck energy.
It's constricted like it's stuck energy.
I accept myself and how my body feels.
I accept myself and how my body feels.
This movie title, Sand Driving,
This movie title, Sand Driving,
5 out of 10
5 out of 10.
in my whole torso and my arms.
My whole torso and my arms.
It's constricted and stuck.
It's constricted and stuck. Oh,
But maybe it's moving because it's making me yawn.
but maybe it's moving because it's making me yawn.
This movie title, Sand Driving,
This movie titled Sand Driving.
releasing it from my torso and arms.
Releasing it from my torso and arms.
Releasing this constricted, stuck energy
Releasing this constricted, stuck energy.
from the movie title, Sand Driving.
From the movie title Sand Driving.
Okay, so when you think of the movie title now, Sand Driving, what's that come down to?
Probably about a 2, yeah.
Okay, so now that we're down to a 2, let's look at the neutral place before we go into the movie. So what would you like to call the neutral place?
Just trying to think. We're driving down a hill.
Is it like getting into the car?
No, I was driving down a hill with my brother. We were on dirt before we went into the sand dunes, so it was just driving down the hill.
So just four-wheel driving with your brother, yep, down the hill, yep.
Yep.
And so when you think of that neutral place, driving down a dirt road and four-wheel driving with your brother, what colour would you like to give that?
It's grey.
Grey, okay. So here you are, driving down the hill, the dirt road with your brother, this grey feeling. So start tapping here and tell me what happens next, and stop when you get to an emotional peak.
Well, we were driving we'd been driving for a while, and we're driving down the hill, and the sand dunes were in front of us and the beach. And he was teaching me to drive in the sand or do four-wheel driving. And he said, "Okay, I'm going to get you to drive through the dunes."
Hmm.
And that
So
was
when he
just,
said that, is it still okay when he said, I'm going to get you to drive through the dunes?
no, I immediately panicked.
Okay, so stop there. All right. So when you remember your brother saying to you, I'm going to get you to drive through the sand dunes, where do you feel that immediate panic?
Again, my torso and arms, just
Torso and arms. And what's it out of 10?
7.
Okay. Even though I have this 7 out of 10 reaction in my torso and arms,
Even though I have this 7 out of 10 reaction in my torso and arms,
it's panic.
panic.
When my brother said, I'm going to get you to drive through the sand,
When my brother said, "I'm going to get you to drive through the sand,"
I accept myself and how my body feels.
I accept myself and how my body feels.
Even though I remember feeling this panic
Even though I remember feeling this panic
in my torso and arms,
in my torso and arms.
7 out of 10 was it?
Yeah, 7 out of 10.
Out of 10. When my brother said, I'm going to get you to drive through the sand,
When my brother said, "I'm going to get you to drive through the sand,"
I accept myself and how my body reacted.
I accept myself and how my body reacted.
Even though I remember my brother saying, I'm going to get you to drive through the sand,
Even though I remember my brother saying, "I'm going to get you to drive through the sand,"
and I immediately felt panic in my torso and my arms,
I immediately felt panic in my torso and my arms.
7 out of 10,
7 out of 10.
I accept myself and how my body reacted.
I accept myself and how my body reacted.
7 out of 10,
7 out of 10.
panic in my torso and arms.
Panic in my torso and arms.
When my brother said, I'm going to get you to drive through the sand,
When my brother said, "I'm going to get you to drive through the sand,"
this panic in my body,
there's panic in my body,
my torso and my arms,
my torso and arms,
under the nose. Look at
my
me.
legs. I feel like running.
Uh-huh. Yep, look at me. This panic in my whole body.
There's panic in my whole body.
In my legs, I feel like running.
In my legs, I feel like running.
7 out of 10.
7 out of 10.
Seeing those sand dunes and the beach.
Seeing those sand dunes and the beach.
Hearing my brother say, I'm going to get you to drive through the sand.
Hearing my brother say, "I'm going to get you to drive through the sand."
Panic in my torso and my arms.
Panic in my torso and my arms.
7 out of 10.
7 out of 10.
Panic in my legs. I just want to run.
Panic in my legs. I just want to run.
Panic in my whole body.
Panic in my whole body.
When I hear my brother say, I'm going to get you to drive through the sand.
And I hear my brother say, "I'm going to get you to drive through the sand."
Go to the 9 gamut. So hearing your brother say, I'm going to get you to drive through the sand, seeing the sand dunes, feeling the panic in your body. I want you to close your eyes, open your eyes, look hard down to the left, look hard down to the right, looking up, circle your eyes slowly in one direction, seeing those sand dunes. Your brother telling you, I'm going to get you to drive through the sand, and back in the other direction, feeling the panic in your body, legs wanting to run. Good. Looking back at me. Hum happy birthday. Count fast to 5. One,
1, 2,
two,
3,
three,
4,
four, 5.
5.
Hum happy birthday. My brother telling me, I'm going to get you to drive through the sand.
My brother telling me I'm going to get you to drive through the sand.
Panic in my body.
Panic in my body.
7 out of 10 panic in my torso and my arms.
7 out of 10 panic in my torso and my arms.
Panic in my legs, I just want to run.
Panic in my legs, I just want to run.
Seeing those sand dunes.
Seeing those sand dunes.
Hearing my brother say, I'm going to get you to drive through the sand.
Hearing my brother say, I'm going to get you to drive through the sand.
7 out of 10 panic in my torso and arms.
7 out of 10 panic in my torso and arms.
My legs just want to run.
My legs just want to run.
I just want to run.
I just want to run.
And my brother says, I'm going to get you to drive through the sand.
My brother says, I'm going to get you to drive through the sand.
Seeing the sand in front of me.
Seeing the sand in front of me.
Panic in my torso and my arms.
Panic in my torso and my arms.
My legs just want to run.
My legs just want to run.
Okay, so take a deep breath. So when you remember seeing those sand dunes in front of you, yeah, and hearing your brother say, I'm going to get you to drive through the sand, what's that come down to now? What's the reaction in your body?
Hasn't shifted at all.
Okay, so you're still at that part though, you're not moving further. Got an itchy nose. You're not moving further ahead. It's just that part when he says,
Yeah.
I'm going to get you to drive through the sand.
Yeah.
And which part is stronger, seeing the sand dunes or hearing him say, I'm going to get you to drive through the sand?
I'm just having a memory of the day before he had driven through the sand, and I was scared doing that with him.
So you
So,
were with him when he drove through it.
yeah,
Okay. So when you had that memory of him driving through the sand and you
yeah.
were with him, what comes up in your body when you have that flash of a memory at that moment?
There was a hairpin bend to the left, and well, it's 90 degrees, but the sand is really soft, super soft sand. So it's in the dunes. And when you're driving, if you know driving through sand, you've got to keep your foot on the accelerator. It doesn't matter how sharp the bend is, you've got to keep accelerating. And that just freaked me out.
Okay. So it took you to a memory the day before when he was driving and he was doing a hairbend turn to the left and he had his foot on the accelerator the whole time and it freaked you out.
Yeah.
So in that moment, when you remember that memory and you were freaked out, where do you feel that in your body?
My arms just want to shake at the moment. I just feel like
Okay.
I'm
And
in my
so
legs.
what would you call that shaking feeling? Panic, terror?
Panic. Yeah.
And what's it out of 10?
9.
Even though I remember the day before,
Even though I remember the day before.
in that moment when my brother said, I'm going to get you to drive through the
In
sand,
that moment when my brother said, I'm going to get you to drive through the sand.
I remembered the day before
I remembered the day before
when he drove with his foot on the accelerator the whole time.
when he drove with his foot on the accelerator the whole time.
And I feel that panic in my whole body,
And I feel that panic in my whole body,
my arms and legs shaking.
my arms and legs shaking.
Was it 9 out of 10?
Yeah,
9 out of 10.
9 out of 10.
I accept myself and my body's reaction.
I accept myself and my body's reaction.
And I let my body know I'm safe right here, right now.
And I let my body know I'm safe right here, right now.
Even though when my brother said, I'm going to get you to drive through the sand,
Even though when my brother said, I'm going to get you to drive through the sand,
and I remembered the day before when he drove
and I remembered the day before when he drove,
and how panicked I was with my arms and legs shaking,
and how panicked I was with my arms and legs shaking.
I accept myself and how my body feels
I accept myself and how my body feels
when I remembered that.
when I remembered that.
And I'm safe right here, right now.
I'm safe right here, right now.
Even though when my brother said, I'm going to get you to drive through the sand,
Even though when my brother said, I'm going to get you to drive through the sand.
in that moment, I remembered the day before when he drove.
In that moment, I remembered the day before when he drove.
And I felt panic and shaking in my arms and legs.
And I felt panic and shaking in my arms and legs.
9 out of 10.
9 out of 10.
I accept myself and my body's reactions.
I accept myself and my body's reactions.
And I'm safe right here, right now to process and release these.
I'm safe right here, right now to process and release this.
There's panic in my whole body, my arms and legs shaking.
Panic in my whole body, my arms and legs shaking.
When I remember the day before,
And I remember the day before,
my brother driving through the sand,
my brother driving through the sand.
that left hairpin,
That left hairpin,
his foot on the accelerator the whole time,
foot on the accelerator the whole time.
soft sand,
Soft sand.
panic in my arms and legs wanting to shake.
Panic in my arms and legs wanting to shake.
9 out of 10.
9 out of 10.
When my brother was driving
When my brother was driving
through the sand,
through the sand,
foot on the accelerator,
foot on the accelerator,
panic in my arms and legs,
panic in my arms and legs,
driving through soft sand, turning sharp left,
driving through soft sand, turning sharp left,
panic in my body, arms and legs,
panic in my body, arms and legs,
shaking. 9 out of 10.
shaking. 9 out of 10.
My brother's foot on the accelerator,
My brother's foot on the accelerator,
driving through soft sand,
driving through soft sand,
turning sharp left,
turning sharp left,
my body shaking. 9 out of 10.
my body shaking. 9 out of 10.
Okay, so take a deep breath. So when you think about that now, in that moment when he said, I'm going to get you to drive through the sand, you went immediately to the day before, sitting in the car next to your brother. He was foot on the accelerator, driving through soft sand, sharp left, and your body was shaking. Is that still 9 out of 10 or has it come down?
No, that's probably a 2 or 3.
Okay. All right, so let's come back to the neutral place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In the car,
In
driving
the car,
with your brother on a dirt road, and it's a grey colour. And then you're driving further, you see the sand dunes and the beach, and then your brother says, I'm going to get you to drive through the sand. And you think of the day before when he drove through the sand, turning sharp left, foot on the accelerator. Yeah. So what happens next? Is that still okay? That's still all okay.
Yeah,
What I just
still about a 2 or 3, so yeah, it's not too bad.
yeah. What's next?
Uh, well, I started driving through the sand, which was okay, and then I got to the sharp corner, and sort of a lot of things happened at once. It was, my brother was yelling at me, saying, keep accelerating, but he's really yelling, and he's because I was oversteering because I'm used to driving on hard surfaces, not on sand. So he was trying to grab the steering wheel off me, and I could see on either side of the dune there was a drop off into swamp as well. So that frightened me even more, and it was just sort of
stop there. Stop
yeah,
there. So when you see the there's 3 elements, right? Your brother's yelling at the top of his voice at you. He's
yeah,
trying to grab the steering wheel, and you're seeing well, there's 4 elements. You're oversteering because you're used to not driving on sand,
yeah,
and you see the swamp drop offs. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So there's a few things there. There's what you're seeing, what you're hearing, and feeling him pulling on the wheel.
Mm.
Feeling and seeing him pulling on the wheel.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So when all of that's occurring, because it's all occurring in the one moment,
Mm.
is there one that stands out more than the others, or is it all together?
No, it's all just jumbled together.
All jumbled together because it's all happening at the same time. So where do you
Mm.
feel that in your body when you remember hearing your brother yell at you, keep accelerating, and he's pulling on the wheel and you're oversteering and you're seeing that swamp on each side of you and it's all happening together. How's your body reacting?
I just feel tense in my chest. My body's tensing up.
Yep. What's
The
that out of 10?
thought that actually comes to mind though is I wish the fuck he'd leave the steering wheel alone.
Yep. Okay. So there's that element as well. All right.
Yeah.
So you're feeling that tension in your chest. And what's it out of 10?
It's not as bad as it was. It's only about a 4, so that's
Okay. Even though I have this moment
even though I have this moment.
when I'm on the sand dune
I'm on the sand dune.
and my brother's yelling at the top of his voice,
My brother's yelling at the top of his voice,
keep accelerating.
accelerating, keep accelerating.
And he's pulling at the steering wheel
He's pulling at the steering wheel,
because I'm oversteering.
but I'm oversteering.
And I see the swamp drop off on both sides.
And I see the swamp drop off on both sides.
And I think, I wish he'd just shut the fuck
And I'm thinking, I wish he'd just shut the fuck up and
up.
leave the steering wheel alone.
Leave the steering wheel alone. And I feel that in my whole body, that tension,
And I feel that in my whole body, that tension,
especially my arms and my chest.
especially my arms and my chest.
4 out of 10.
4 out of 10.
I accept myself and how my body's feeling.
I accept myself and how my body's feeling.
Even though there's a lot happening in that moment in time,
Even though there's a lot happening in that moment in time,
I'm oversteering.
I'm oversteering.
I'm not used to driving in sand.
I'm not used to driving in sand.
And he's yelling, keep accelerating, keep accelerating.
And he's yelling, keep accelerating, keep accelerating.
And he's grabbing the wheel.
He's grabbing the wheel.
And I think, I wish he'd just shut the fuck up and leave that wheel alone.
I'm thinking, I wish he'd just shut the fuck up and leave that wheel alone.
And I can see the swamp either side of me.
And I can see the swamp either side of me.
I accept myself and how my body's reacting.
I accept myself and how my body's reacting.
Even though there's a lot happening in that moment.
Even though there's a lot happening in that moment.
And I feel tension in my body.
I feel tension in my body.
Is it 4 out of 10? 4 out of 10?
4 out of 10. Yeah.
When he's yelling at me, keep accelerating, keep accelerating.
He's yelling at me, keep accelerating, keep accelerating.
He's grabbing at the wheel.
He's grabbing at the wheel.
And I see the swamp either side of me.
And I see the swamp either side of me.
And I think, I wish he'd just shut the fuck up and leave that wheel alone.
And I'm thinking, I wish he'd just shut the fuck up and leave that wheel alone.
I accept myself and all this tension in my body.
I accept myself and all this tension in my body.
Tension in my torso and my chest and my arms.
Even tension in my torso and my chest and arms.
So much going on in that moment.
So much going on in that moment.
I'm overwhelmed.
I'm overwhelmed.
I'm not used to driving in sand.
I'm not used to driving in sand.
I'm oversteering.
I'm oversteering.
I'm panicking.
I'm panicking.
And I can hear my brother yelling at me, keep accelerating, keep accelerating.
I can hear my brother yelling at me, keep accelerating, keep accelerating.
And he keeps pulling on the steering wheel.
And he keeps pulling on the steering wheel.
And I see the swamp either side of me.
And I see the swamp either side of me.
And I think, I wish he'd just shut the fuck up and leave the wheel alone.
And I think, I wish he'd just shut the fuck up and leave the wheel alone.
All this panic, tension in my chest and my arms,
All this panic and tension in my chest and my arms,
releasing it and letting it go.
releasing it and letting it go.
In that moment when so much was happening.
In that moment when so much was happening.
Come to the 9 gamut. So hearing your brother yelling, keep accelerating, keep accelerating. Yeah. And feeling him pulling on the wheel. Yeah. And seeing the swamp either side. Mm-hmm. Right. I want you to close your eyes and open your eyes. Look hard down to the left. Look hard down to the right. Good. Look at me. Now look up and circle your eyes slowly in one direction. So much going on in that moment. Brother yelling. Keep accelerating. Keep accelerating. Back the other way. Pulling on the wheel. Seeing the swamp. Good. Look back at me. Hum happy birthday. Mm-hmm. Count past to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hum happy birthday. Mm-hmm. So much happening in that moment.
So much happening in that moment.
My brother yelling at me. Keep accelerating. Keep accelerating.
My brother yelling at me. Keep accelerating. Keep accelerating.
Pulling on the steering wheel.
Pulling on the steering wheel.
I'm oversteering. I'm not used to sand.
I'm oversteering. I'm not used to sand.
Tension in my chest, my torso, my arms.
Tension in my chest, my torso, and my arms.
Seeing the swamp either side of the sand.
Seeing the swamp either side of the sand.
No wonder my body's panicked and overwhelmed.
No wonder my body's panicked and overwhelmed.
I just want to tell my brother to shut the fuck up and leave the wheel alone.
I just want to tell my brother to shut the fuck up and leave the steering wheel alone.
Thanking my body for holding on to this tension and panic.
Thanking my body for holding on to this tension and panic.
To protect me.
To protect me.
I wasn't used to it.
I wasn't used to it.
He was yelling at me.
He was yelling at me.
Pulling on the steering wheel.
Pulling on the steering wheel.
Seeing the swamp either side.
Seeing the swamp either side.
Maybe I can release this now.
Maybe I can release this now.
Mm-hmm. How does that feel?
Much better.
So when you think of him yelling at you, keep accelerating, and he's pulling on that wheel so you can feel the wheel being pulled and you can see the swamp either side. You're not used to it. You're oversteering. How's that feel in your body now?
That's pretty good, actually. Mm-hmm. I would just tell him to shut the fuck up.
Exactly. All right, so go back to the neutral place and you tell the story all the way through and make sure that there's nothing left there.
So we're in the country driving down the hill on a dirt road, and my brother said, I'm going to get you to drive through the sand dunes. And
see the sand dunes and the beach.
See the sand dunes and the beach. Start driving through the sand. There's a little bit there. It's like a 2. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and then we get to the hairpin bend, and I can't even remember half of the stuff. He's yelling at me. I'm oversteering. The drop off on either side.
He's pulling on the wheel.
He's pulling on the wheel. Was there anything else?
And you think?
I think I'll just back up and leave the steering wheel alone. Yeah, there's like maybe a 2 left there, but it's not.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's just do one more round. Even though I started off really triggered by this memory.
even though I started off really triggered by this memory.
Let's come down to a 2.
Let's come down to a 2.
I thank my body for helping me process and release this.
Thank my body for helping me process and release this.
And I give my body permission to release it even further while I sleep tonight.
I give my body to release it even further while I sleep tonight.
It came down to 2.
It came down to 2.
I can hardly remember all the parts of it now.
I can hardly remember all the parts of it now.
And maybe it will process even further.
Maybe it will process even further.
Already down to 2.
Already down to 2.
I give my body permission
I give my body permission
to release it even further while I sleep tonight.
to release it even further while I sleep tonight.
This sand driving memory,
This sand driving memory,
releasing and letting it go.
releasing and letting it go.
So that's just a quick round. I didn't even do 3 at the setup, just to complete it and sort of, yeah. How's that feel? All good?
Good, much better.
Excellent. Thank you. Well done.